Thank you, and thank you for a second bite at the apple. Andy and I did not know that Senator Carper was going to remind us of how and when and where we met. But yes, we owe him an enormous debt of gratitude for introducing us on a cold winter day in Rehoboth many, many years ago. Let me take you back, if I can, for just a moment, to an evening that I think helps it be clear to all of us. What's at stake? Why does this matter? What are we fighting for? Did anybody here watch the State of the Union address? Anybody watch State of the Union? Do you remember that? Anybody watch that at all? You know, maybe it's a little boring, maybe it's a little long, but this year with Barack Obama, I was excited. I was looking forward to it, and I went with a bunch of folks from OFA and watched it at Timothy's. And I was struck by something I saw, a very clear pattern. Do you remember this? Every time our president, with our Vice President Joe Biden right behind him, every time he said something, about a third of the chamber leapt to their feet in applause, and about a third sometimes applauded, sometimes didn't, and about a third could not move, as if their feet were glued to the floor. And even when he talked about tax cuts for business to hire the unemployed, even when he talked about export promotion, even when he talked about supporting the troops, there was one party that could not find it in their heart to applaud or stand or cheer in any way. I think, as the senators who just spoke think, that we have a political party on the opposite side of the aisle that's made a decision that their future lies in saying what? No. And at this incredibly important time in our country, as I go up and down the state and visit with families and meet with folks who've lost their jobs, who are worried about losing their homes, who don't know what tomorrow will bring, we've got a president and a vice president who I believe in. We worked and we voted for change in 2008, and that change hasn't fully happened. In large part because one party has decided not to negotiate, not to compromise, not to work with us, not to find reasonable solutions. And I think the path forward is not through that wall of no, but through the door of yes. Does it matter to you if there is a Democrat representing you in the House and the Senate in January? So when we get to the next State of the Union, does it matter to you if the seat that says Delaware on it is filled with a successor who, like Joe Biden, who, like Ted Kaufman, who, like Tom Carper, will stand for our president? Does that matter to you? Yes! Then I'd like you to join with my family and me in recognizing what an incredible moment we have in front of us. After the primaries 2 weeks from now, yes, I am likely to be running against Congressman Mike Castle. All of us know him. He's been elected since 1966. He's been representing us statewide for 30 years. And that is both the best advantage and the biggest disadvantage I face in this fall. Everybody knows him. I'll remind you, in the last 3 polls, his re-election or his election is below 50%. A majority of Delawareans are not convinced to vote for him. And when I first jumped into this race, folks said it couldn't be done. I was 29 points behind. In the last polls, I'm just 11 points behind. And the difference that's left is Democrats. If 28,000 Democrats who have voted for Barack Obama and Joe Biden, for Ted Kaufman and Tom Carper, for Beau Biden, for Democrats up and down this state, if those folks who have supported Democrats over the years can find it in their heart to see clearly the consequences of putting Mike Castle in that seat, I can be your next senator. Let me just briefly tell you why that might matter. On values issues. Mike Castle is a nice man, but he voted against the Lilly Ledbetter Pay Equity Act to give women equal pay. He voted for the Stupak Amendment to restrict a woman's right to choose. He voted against giving health care benefits to the 9/11 responders, volunteers who showed up at the crash site, at the site of the World Trade Center, in New York, and were injured for life. He voted against caring for them. These are values votes that I think run against where we are as a party. And he voted against the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I would have been on the other side of every one of those important votes. As I've gone up and down the state, as we've done picnics in Ocean View and dinners in Newark, as I've gone door knocking with state candidates in Greenwood and in Claymont, I hear folks say, we are at the end of our rope. And we want to know, as FDR said, When you get to the end of your rope, what do? You tie a knot and hang on. They want to know if help is coming. They want to know if the Democrats are listening and if we care. And I think we do and we are. I think the actions our president has taken and our leaders in the Senate and House have taken have moved us in the right direction. Towards tax credits to help businesses hire the unemployed. Towards investment in alternative energy. Towards cleaning up our environment and investing in innovation and education. There's a whole agenda of things that, folks, we've made progress on, but not enough. In Delaware, we've got the GM plant on the way to being reopened as Fisker Automotive. We've got the oil refinery with hundreds of high-wage quality union jobs on its way towards being reopened and hundreds of people back at work. And we've got Sallie Mae bringing thousands of new high-quality jobs to Delaware. That's just a few examples. But our governor, who I'm sorry can't be with us tonight, and lots of us in local government have pulled together to make a difference for Delaware up and down this state. And that's what folks are looking for. They want to know that we would support the stimulus, that we'd support the health care bill, that we'd invest in small business, that we'd help improve education, the kinds of things that folks want us to do for them. I am grateful that my wife Annie and our 3 kids have been such incredible supporters as we've gone up and down the state in the last 6 months. And I'm thankful for my father-in-law and mother-in-law, Tony and Dottie Lingenfelter, who live just up here in Lewis, for their passion and their kindness. But frankly, this is about all of our families. This is about all of our families pulling together to make a difference for this country at this time. Senator Carper made a reference to a moment of difficulty in my own life. My first contact with county government when I was a child was the deputy sheriff banging on the door to take our house. My dad had lost his business and had gone bankrupt, and we lost our house in foreclosure. You never forget that. My life has gotten much, much better. We are on solid footing, and I am blessed. And I never forget, Governor Minner, I never forget how grateful I am to the leaders in our party, to the leaders of our state, who've made it possible to grow up in good schools in a strong and safe community with a safe and clean environment. The leaders and the volunteers and the veterans who've made this a great place. So I want a chance to give back. I want a chance to be a part of the team that will leap to their feet on January and say, for Delaware, we've made a difference. And we will make this a safer and stronger country that all of us can be proud of. This is the kickoff of the fall campaign. John Carney and I have been up and down the state working our hearts out for 6 months, for many years. But now is the time for you to say, on the team that's playing tug of war with the Republicans on the other side, tie a knot and hang on. If you go home tonight and look on the TV at what's that thing, Beckapalooza, happening over in Washington, what's he call that Beckfest thing he's doing over at the Lincoln Memorial today? There's busloads of folks who went to Washington today. And I understand the people who worry about the debt and the deficit, the people who worry about our place in the world, the people who worry about their jobs. But I reject the tone that says this cannot be a country that is tolerant, just, and inclusive. The values that I care about, that I want to fight for, say everybody moves forward together. There is no reason that this team cannot pull every family together. No matter how your family is defined, no matter where you are in the cycle of life, there is no reason to fearmonger and hate-monger our way, as I believe some of the folks on the other side are, into trying to win an election. I am running against a Republican who is a decent man, but whose record of votes over the last 2 years, if they continue, will simply drive us right back into that ditch. And I think we can conduct this campaign in a positive, constructive way that lays out the difference, that doesn't play to people's hates and fears, that works to their hope and their opportunity. Will you join me in doing this? Because, folks, it has never meant more than it does today. The very people who for 8 years put in place policy after policy, decision after decision that took us to a war without foundation, that cut taxes by the billions and billions without responsibly putting in the budget, that deregulated Wall Street and allowed them to blow it up and drive it into the ditch, those folks should not get the keys back. I want your help. I need your help. I'd be grateful for your help. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being part of the Democratic family. And together, up and down this state, we